Hello.
Hey, Coach.
Doug?
How's it going?
Great.
Good.
Doug, Andy says he hasn't given much thought to the scene on Thursday night. Do we believe him? I mean, what's it going to be like for all you ex-Eagles going in there on Thursday?
Well, I think, number one, it's a short week, so it's kind of hard to get caught up in the emotion of everything. It's just, we're still trying to game plan and put our guys in the best possible situation for Thursday night. It's you don't have time to really get caught up and think about everything that's going on.
Coach, you know where the visiting locker room is?
Say that again?
I said, you know where the visiting locker room is? You guys going to need a road map in your old home?
When I was with the Green Bay Packers, we came down there a couple of times, so I'm familiar with that visiting locker room just a little bit.
Okay.
Hey, Doug, you were with Andy last few years with the Eagles. Is he different at all this year? I mean, is he have fewer personnel responsibilities, maybe more hands-on than he was his last few years with the Eagles?
Yeah, he's really gotten back into the football side. When he came to Philadelphia, I can remember back in 1999 when we all came there, and he was the head coach and getting involved with the offense as much as he did then. I see the same similarities now here in Kansas City, and it's good to see him back really doing the coaching side, which is the part he really loves doing, and part of the reason bringing in John Dorsey as a general manager to handle the personnel side, and it's good to see him back in there, teaching and coaching and kind of mixing it up with the players.
Coach, what did you like what you saw from your offense yesterday?
I love the fact that from the week before we were able to finish the football game. Something we struggled with against Jacksonville was actually, really even though the game was kind of one-sided at the end, we didn't do much in the second half against Jacksonville. Well, yesterday we came back and we were able to put a 4-minute drive together and get some key first downs, and eventually we did have to punt. And our punter did a nice job of backing them up. But that was the one thing I was most proud of from our guys, being able to finish, and then obviously coming back in the second half and getting the points that we needed to win the game.
Hey, Doug, could you give us your evaluation of Alex Smith? And I'm sure you get asked this every week by out-of-town writers, but did you call him the best quarterback in the NFL?
Alex, for us, Alex is, he's exactly what we needed. He does the right thing with the football. You notice he's a guy that's going to make the right decisions. He's going to put the ball where it needs to be. He's an accurate passer. He's smart at the line of scrimmage to get us in and out of trouble plays. And, he's managing the game, and that's what you want from your starting quarterback, and he's done an excellent job with that, and he's led us to 2 victories, and that's the ultimate stat.
Hey, Doug, we saw San Diego try to speed it up and go toe-to-toe with the speed of Philly's offense that way. But I was wondering if you could talk about the positives and negatives of that approach, and also, the positive and negatives of trying to slow it down, grind the ball out, give your defense some rest.
Yeah, I guess the biggest, probably the one downside of going fast is if you're 3 and out all the time. It does put your defense back out on the field rather quickly, and so that's obviously a downside to going fast. If it's successful and it's working, then you can keep the defense, on their heels, I guess, a little bit, but you got to be effective, and it's got to be efficient for you offensively. The other thing is, if you're trying to match speed for speed, I know the Eagles' offense is extremely fast, and that's just their style, and that's what they're going to do. And sometimes you got to, I think, put yourself in a position what's best each week for you as an offense. And if it means going fast, then you go fast. If it means getting in the huddle, you get in the huddle. So the biggest downside to it is obviously the 3 and outs.
Coach, in the first game, the first play of the game went over 20 yards in terms of the ball in the air with the incompletion. In this last game, there was the completion to Avery, and I think maybe one other one. What has been the biggest reason for the lack of a vertical passing attack so far through the first two games?
You talking about with us?
Yes, with you.
I don't think that's obviously you're not seeing it now. We did come back and we hit Donnie deep on a third down and we did some things that way. You obviously play to your strengths and you put the guys in position to be successful on the football field and you don't have to always stretch the field. Are there going to be times to do that? Yes, there are. But you got to be aware of who's obviously on the other side of the ball and DeMarcus Ware, as you guys know, and Anthony Spencer are two good pass rushers. So you can't spend all day in a seven-step drop mode. So being able to nickel and dime at times is good. And again, it goes back to if you're going to play fast, you need to be efficient. And sometimes you may have to sacrifice your vertical game here and there to stay efficient on the football field and keep your defense on the sideline.
So you don't think it's necessarily necessary to have the over-the-top threat?
You've got to have it. You got to have the ability to go over the top. It's the one way to keep defenses, back on their heels. Even if you don't complete it, and yet you still attempt to throw it down the field, plus 20, then it shows that hey, you're capable of doing that, and you will do that. So there's a time and a place for it, and it is definitely a viable thing in every offense.
You mentioned a couple of those elite pass rushers that Dallas had. How did you think Eric Fisher graded out?
Eric battled in the game. I thought that he got beat a few times. He did a nice job in the first two games. We still have to I think keep growing with him. He's still learning. Heck, not many tackles in the National Football League have done well against a guy like DeMarcus Ware, but yet he battled and he hung in there and made the plays when he needed to make them and did a nice job.
Doug, in looking at the Eagles' defense, and I know you know a lot of those guys, Cole and everybody, has anyone stood out in looking at film first two games?
I tell you, the two inside guys, D'Amico and Kendricks in there. Those two guys are flying around. They're fast flow guys. They've always been that way. Trent. I tell you, Trent is still Trent, and he's an excellent pass rusher. You got to know where he's at. Every time, really, whether he's in a stand-up backer position or he's got his hand in the ground and in their sub personnel groups. And then you look at the back end. They got guys back there that. Nate Allen's playing well. He's a guy that we know pretty good back there. But there's so many new faces outside of those couple of guys right there. And we have Fletcher Cox. There's another one that stands out for you. He can definitely push the pocket, and he's done a nice job here in the first couple of weeks of doing that. So we're going to keep studying the film, studying the tape, and just get ready for Thursday.
Because they have so many new guys, your familiarity with them, is it a lot less, obviously, even though you were there last year?
Yeah, we know the guys personally. We kind of know how the guys play individually, but how do they fit into the scheme is what's different. And so that's what we have to spend time this week studying and getting ourselves in a position to win on Thursday.